didn't go quite as planned. Little way into the race, somehow my radiator cap was loose.
Yep,
and
this is not good, boys.
Therefore, almost blowing up my bike. So we got it home, got it washed, and now it's time to take it apart and assess the damage. I knew it was going through coolant, but we filled it up multiple times, so I figured it would have some left in it. But after draining it, it ended up only having just maybe 1 or 2 ounces of coolant left in the bike. So it was definitely gone and going through the coolant. Starting to tear into the bike here, I'm a little concerned to see what's inside this motor and to find out what the damage is, but it's time to get into it and see what's wrong.
Well, I think it's pretty safe to say after taking that spark plug out that the bike got pretty hot here. So, I don't know. We're just gonna keep tearing it down and see what happens, but she got a little hot.
I think it's safe to say that things got a little hot here. I don't think my coolant hose is supposed to be melted onto my head here, but ended up having to take a screwdriver to it and just yank it off. Moving on to taking the head off the motor so we can get a closer look inside this thing to see what's actually wrong with it. And as soon as I put the ratchet on the nuts, I could tell they're nearly finger tight, and so that's not good. They're all pretty much loose, and I've never had this happen. I've heard of it happening, but all the nuts were pretty much loose. I was a little scared to take this head off, but hoping that just the head gaskets here would be about the only thing fried on them. I figured that would be given with how hot it got, but I was just hoping the piston would be in contact and everything would look good otherwise. Luckily, the cylinder nuts are still tight and intact, but this is where we'll find out if the motor is trashed or if we're good to go. So now's the moment of truth, taking this cylinder off. Now that we got the bike all apart, it is time to thoroughly look at everything, make sure it's all good to go, or decide what needs to be replaced, what needs to be repaired, and then get stuff ordered and get it all back together.
I am actually pretty impressed with how the cylinder looks and just really how everything came out. I figured the cylinder would be trashed and we'd maybe cleaning up parts from the piston down in the motor.
The cylinder and the head were a little bit warped, so I took them to Rusty at Yarborough Industries, and he used a lapping table to line everything back up and get it all back dialed in.
So we just got the rest of the parts that we need in today, and it's looking like we're going to be able to get this motor back together and ready to go racing. So I'm going to just start throwing stuff on. We should be good to go by the end of the day today. So I'm going to knock it out, and I think we got everything. So let's get it done and get this thing running.
The last thing that needs to be done before we start assembling everything is just to hone the cylinder, but this isn't an easy task with one hand. So you guys get the idea. First up is getting the piston ready to go back in the bike, and those tricky little C-clips are probably the worst part of assembling a motor. Trying to get those things into the piston and in the perfect spot so they don't fly out. One huge thing to note while putting together a motor or taking things apart is to stuff a rag anywhere that anything could fall down into the motor and pretty much ruin a day's worth of work. So don't forget to do that. It'll save you a lot of headache. After getting the piston in, most of the rest of the assembly is pretty much a breeze. All you gotta do is just throw stuff on, put it back together, bolt it up, and you're good to go. And I'm putting the stock head back on because the apex head needs a new O-ring seal. It just got hot and fried, so that's why we've got the stock head. And yes, I know the brass washers didn't get put on in here, but as soon as I got it all together, I realized I had some washers left over, so they got put on, and we are good to go now. After getting everything back together, it was time to start it up, and I was a little too excited to set up the camera, but the bike runs. We are ready to go racing this weekend at the Pimpin' GNCC, so I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching the video, and the bike is running.